Hi, I'm astrologer Penny Dix. Welcome to my YouTube channel and welcome to my in-depth look at this month's full moon in Virgo. It's on the 24th of February. And you know, to understand a full moon and its impact on us, we need to understand a little bit about the sign that the moon actually falls in when it's full. So I will be looking at the sign of Virgo, and it might be helpful for all of you if you know your rising sign, and assuming obviously you know your sun sign, that you actually check out which part of your chart the sign of Virgo is, so that you can see where this full moon is actually going to fall. And at this point, the wonderful Jerry from Team Penny will magically make the chart appear above my shoulder. And there we go. And there it is. So let's have a look at this chart, because if you look at the four quadrants, so you've got this kind of cross down the middle, and I use Tropical Placidus. I also put the time for universal time. So it's 12:30, and that's based in London, United Kingdom, just because it's pretty general for the whole planet, because it's the kind of 0 degree. So, you know, depending where you live, you may want to put all the information in to one of your devices and get the chart up for the location that you're in, because it can give a slightly different nuance to the whole meaning of the full moon. But basically, with a full moon, we have to understand where the moon is when it's full. And we know this time the moon is in Virgo. And as I'm explaining, we've got this kind of quadrant. Now, the rising sign of this chart is Gemini. Gemini is about communication, and interestingly is ruled by the planet Mercury, which is all about communication and thought and ideas. Mercury also rules the sign of Virgo. So already we have a kind of overlap of energies. And the other interesting thing about these four quadrants is they are on the mutable angles. So it's like a mutable cross. We have Gemini on the ascendant. We have Sagittarius, another mutable sign, on the descendant. So we've got air, fire, and then down at the bottom of the chart, we've got Virgo, mutable, where the full moon is in the third house of communication, the part of the chart that Mercury rules, because normally it's a Gemini house. And then if we go up to the top of the chart, you'll see the sign of Pisces. Pisces is also mutable, and it's water. So we've got an interesting mix and a kind of, because these signs are mutable, we've got this mutable mix of interesting energies, which makes for a full moon where we can actually not be dictated to by the divine and the fates, but have some direction over how we want to use the current full moon energy. Let me explain. The sun, of course, is in Pisces, and the sun is at 5 degrees Pisces opposite the moon, also at 5 degrees Virgo. So we have this energy of the sun that is our heart, our soul, shedding light on the moon that is our intuition, our nurturing self, the mother part of us. So we've got this balance of mother-father, of those kind of masculine, feminine energies already with a full moon. The Sun is conjunct Saturn in Pisces. And it's also the other side of the Sun. You'll see Mercury, that is the ruler of the full moon, in Pisces, also conjunct the Sun, widely conjunct Saturn. Let me unpack this. Saturn, as you know, is one of what I call our big boys. Saturn is about taking things easy, slowing down, not rushing at something, because everything is about timing. And often our mind, our thinking, Mercury, gets in the way and takes us off making decisions and acting and reacting before we fully thought it through or allowed our intuition and our gut instinct, represented by the moon in Virgo, to come through and say, hey, wait a minute. Are you sure you want this to completely end? Whatever it may be. Are you sure this is the right time to call a halt to maybe something that's going on in a relationship? Maybe something that is going on in your career, if you have one. Maybe something that is going on with your children, if you have them, or with a friend. But there can be lots of connotations as to why we often need to sit back and wait for, as I call, the divine to step in and show us the way to go. We don't always know the way to go, and we think sometimes that we know better than the cosmos. Let me assure you, we don't. And the beauty, the magic, the vibrancy of astrology is that it gives us this map. It gives us this handle to guide us, this hand, if you like, to take us by the hand and say, as Saturn is, Saturn, our planet of boundaries, timing, restriction, slowing down, slow down. Take time to think about decisions that you may want to make, because Virgo, the sign of Virgo, is about the detail. It's about the small things. It's about the minutiae of life. It's about the spreadsheets, the columns, the folders, the files, having everything in order, and it never quite getting there, and you never quite getting to the result or the end that you want to get to. And sometimes we can spend a lot of time going round in circles when actually there is always a much easier way to get from A to, let's say, X. We don't necessarily have to go through B, C, D, E, F, etc. So it's a full moon in Virgo. What needs to change in how you communicate? Do you need to slow down in the way you communicate in general to those that are dear to you, to those that you work with? Do you need to take more time? You know, there's some other interesting energies in this full moon, because we also need to look at Jupiter. And I mustn't forget to look at Venus and Mars conjunct in Aquarius. But let's go to Jupiter first of all, because Jupiter in Taurus, the planet of luck and opportunity, expansion, the planet of higher frequencies, getting in touch with that energy, that higher energy, that intuitive side of us, that spiritual side of us that can be directly linked to the mind of the divine. Jupiter's in Taurus. It gets a little bit bogged down in the earthiness of Taurus. But of course, the descendant of this chart is the sign Jupiter rules, Sagittarius. So there is some energy coming in from the fire of the descendant, the fire of the other. Listen to another, to the other. Is that a partner? Is that a business partner? Is that a relationship partner? Is that a friend? Is that a stranger in a bus queue? Often we get pearls of wisdom from strangers. So Jupiter is sextiling, which is helpful, Saturn and the Sun in Pisces. And Jupiter is trining, which is also helpful, the full moon down there at the bottom in the 3rd house of Virgo. So Jupiter is a big influence on this full moon. Jupiter is expanding the benefits that can come from taking your time, from not rushing at something, from not letting your mind, your thinking, get in the way and making thought-based decisions without intuitively sensing the other energies that are around that can guide you. Please listen to your intuition with this full moon. You know, this full moon brings in the sun's energy of Pisces. Pisces is intuitive. It's spiritual. It's about our dreams. It's about what we can manifest in the kind of waters of creation. It's the final sign of the zodiac. It's where everything begins and everything ends. So what I'm saying is Virgo may present situations that you may react to and act to swiftly, rashly, and cut something that doesn't need to be cut. There are many ways to solve problems that come up. Look for the solutions. As they say, don't get stuck in the problems. Now, Jupiter is also squaring. Now, that's challenging. Mars and Venus conjunct in Aquarius. We've had the energy of both Mars and Venus conjunct Pluto. And we could say that both Mars and Venus are still widely conjunct Pluto in Aquarius. So we've got a combination of this kind of amazing, powerful energy. The masculine, the feminine, sexuality, sensuality, value, and then the physicality of Mars, the assertion, the aggression, the god of war, and the goddess of love. And Pluto, the god of the underworld, showing his face to the world through the sign of Aquarius, bringing in Pluto's energies through the sign of Aquarius. And Pluto and Mars are in the 8th house of this chart. That is significant because the 8th house by zodiac is the House of Scorpio. Therefore, both Pluto and Mars are in the house they rule. So it gives them some dominance. And Jupiter squaring both Pluto, Mars, Venus in a wide square. It expands the energy of Mars and Venus. And what this tells us is that we really must tread carefully. Now, this goes for the planet in general. And this full moon could see leaders getting caught in the details and missing the bigger picture. Aquarius can represent the bigger picture and the people and the community at large. And this could actually see the people taking things into their own hands. And the powers that be are still looking down at all the details and thinking about, well, we could do this and we could do that. And in the meantime, the people have said, oh, we're not taking any of that. We don't need this. We'll take matters into our own hands. So Jupiter could expand these energies. And because remember, it's coming up to its conjunction with Uranus, which is going to be in April. And Uranus is in the 12th house of this chart. Jupiter closing in on Uranus is already expanding the energies of Uranus's bid for freedom, for awakening, to waken up or awaken the whole of the planet. And, you know, it doesn't have to all be doom and gloom. As I've said in some of my other videos, we can work with this astrology. We can intend it, bend it into a positive outcome for all of us. You know, Uranus in this chart is making it's a sextile to Neptune. It's wide, but it's kind of bringing in the energy. And Hygeia, that is about health. Now, interestingly, Neptune can also be about things like viruses and health issues, poisons. So I'm wondering if there is, I'm wondering if around this full moon we get some, because Virgo, of course, also is about health. I've almost forgotten one of the most important things about Virgo. It's about health, and I'm just wondering whether there is something here about health, viruses, or some kind of chemicals, that there may be some kind of something that goes wrong. I don't want to give these thoughts I'm having energy, but I'm sure you can read my mind. And what we have to do is flip it over and go, no, we don't need that. We don't need that energy to affect the planet. So intend positivity. Group intention, positive group intention changes energy. You know, if you get an angry crowd, they're just going to get angrier and more vicious and attacking. But if you get a crowd of people who are going, yay, we can do this, let's celebrate, let's be victorious, then everybody picks up that happy energy. You know, so we know it works. So we just have to have sometimes a bit of faith in that. So an interesting full moon. And I think we're going to see people having to be super careful about the way they talk, what they say, what news gets divulged, and how the powers that be serve us. Are we really happy with the people that are in charge of us doing what they're doing? Or do we actually want to take back our power, take back control? Even if this is on an individual level, take back control of our individual situations and then make our own decisions. Because maybe actually we don't need someone else to make our decisions. Maybe we're perfectly capable and have a little bit more evidence and knowledge now with whatever it is for you to make your decision and make it count. Now let's go on to your individual zodiac signs. And remember, if you know your rising sign, and I often say this, there are so many sites, just even put into Google, find my rising sign, and you'll get a whole load of websites coming up. All you do is put in your birth information, time, date, place, and you get your chart. It'll tell you what it is. And if you're not sure, send me the chart and I'll tell you. Just screenshot it and send it to me. And I'll tell you you're a Gemini ascendant or you're a Cancer ascendant. Because the thing is, if you listen to your rising sign, it tells you the area of your life that you can expect the current full moon energy to be affecting. Okay, so all your zodiac signs are time-stamped by Jerry of Team Penny, and some of you very helpfully timestamp them yourselves because perhaps you're not quite sure that Jerry's timestamps are absolutely accurate. So try not to be too Virgo on Jerry, who really does his best. So at this point, the wonderful Jerry will make the chart magically disappear. And let's start with Aries. So Aries, this full moon for you is in your 6th house. So how does that play out for you? Because it is the house of health and service. And I wonder whether there are some situations in your life that you're needing to reorganize your schedule, your daily routine, and you're getting caught up in the details. And Aries, you are probably getting impatient with the people that are imposing the restrictions on you, Saturn in Pisces, in your 12th house, and you're getting frustrated because you're being dictated to as to how your routine should pan out. So as I was saying a little bit earlier, Aries, this is not like you, a cardinal sign ruled by Mars, to not be assertive and take back some power. So Aries, take back your power. I think it gets diluted in the sign of Virgo. But you need to look to that Sun in Pisces, which is in your 12th house of that inner you, that psychic you, that intuitive part of yourself. Take back your power and say, yes, I'm hearing what you are saying, but I can't do it the way you are suggesting. We will have to find a different way or compromise. Otherwise, you're in danger of acting out that Venus-Mars square to Jupiter and getting pretty angry and just going, enough, I'm done. And I don't think that's what this full moon is about for you. I think it's about you learning timing and taking a little bit more time to reflect on the best way to proceed forward. Okay, so let's move on to Taurus. So Taurus, it's in your house of fun. But you know, Virgo sometimes doesn't actually come across as having a lot of fun because they get so caught up in the details. But I think this is the way that you give a lot of attention to the details if you are entertaining others. I think you like to have everything in your home in the right kind of place. You like things to look right. I think you love doing the preparation, Taurus. I think you love just getting to that kind of energy where you feel, yes, I am now ready to receive my guests. And of course, you're exhausted and you fall asleep over the meal. And so, and we need to look at where the energy of Pisces is, because it's in your 11th house of hopes and wishes. Saturn is here, Taurus. Saturn is asking you to take your time. There are plans, there are ideas that you have, because Virgo in the 5th, where the full moon is, can indicate these projects that you want to kind of get off the ground and launch. Saturn and Mercury and the Sun are asking you to take your time. Talk it through with valued friends. Talk things through with people that have experience of the area that you are perhaps involved in, that you're looking to get more involved in. And Taurus, remember, excuse me, it's a full moon. This is about letting go. This is about letting go and letting the divine come in. Because remember, the divine's got your back. Letting the divine come in and show you the way, show you what you need to let go of, and also who you need to let go of, or what needs to change considerably in a personal relationship, or come to that in a professional relationship. So have a think about that, Taurus. Right. Let's move on to Gemini. So Gemini, your 4th house. So this, of course, is the house of home, family. And the full moon is actually in this part of your chart. So, you know, there are occasions when, of course, it can actually mean moving home. I don't think it always is about that. But if we look at the rest of the energy, I think it's more actually about the work you do. And it's about how you communicate within the sphere of the work you do, the energy that you put into it. And it feels like there are situations at home, or maybe it's situations to do with members of your family, people that, or significant other, that in some way it's holding you back. Because what I'm thinking about is this Jupiter in Taurus in your 12th house, squaring both Mars and Venus in Aquarius and Pluto, and Pluto in Aquarius. And I think that this energy is expanding your concerns about what you know on a deep inner level you need to let go of. And it may be that you have to really consider where you're living, how you're living, what you're doing. Maybe you need to make changes just within your own living space to somehow accommodate the energies of this particular full moon. But there's no doubt that you need to make some changes at home. And I think if you're able to do that, that energy of Jupiter squaring Mars and Venus, there's something here about a clash between the masculine and the feminine. It may be down to the minutiae and the detail of the place you live. Do not pay service to or homage to someone who thinks they have power over you. Take back your power, Gemini. Be strong. Be who you are. And that way you will succeed. So now, after my sip of water, we are going to move on to Cancer. Okay, Cancer. Well, Cancer, it's in your third house of communication. So you really do have to think about how you say what you say and to whom. There may be some situations in your life, in your locality, in your local area, that you are not comfortable with, that you want to change. And I'm thinking about the energy of Jupiter squaring Mars and Venus, and Jupiter expanding this Aquarian energy. Because Aquarius, remember, is about inventiveness, freedom, freedom of speech. Who doesn't let you say what you need to say? Whom are you keeping quiet for? Whom and how and who and what do you need to say what you need to say to? Because I think you have a lot to say and you've been keeping quiet for too long, Cancer. And I think this is where this full moon is where you come out, actually, Cancer, and say it how it is. And it has long-term and far-reaching effects, which are positive. That is for certain. Let's move on to Leo. So Leo, this is in your second house. And the second house, as you know, is about finance. It can be about how you value yourself. It's how you make your money. What's going out, what's coming in, how you balance the books. Have you been giving a lot of thought to how you balance your own books? Literally, your financial books. Are there some anxieties and concerns? Are you not taking back your power in a situation where it's a bit like having lots of standing orders and being too polite to stop them because you know the person involved in the business you have the standing order with? Stop it, Leo. If you can't afford it, let it go. It will pass. The problem with it will pass. Just let it go. And it will change, Leo. It will change organically. Because sometimes, because it's Virgo on your second house, you can get very fretful and worried when you have to make these kind of decisions, big decisions about finance. But I think you've been looking at your budgeting and at how you are spending joint finance. I think you're looking at your investments, pensions, and, you know, with that Saturn, Sun, Mercury conjunction in Pisces, you're thinking, I've got to put some boundaries on this because it's all going out and it's not coming in. And that is what you will do in the only way Leo can. You will stand proudly as leader of your pride of lions, and you will put to one side your Virgo anxieties about being assertive. Because sometimes, Leo, as the lion, you're a shy lion when it comes to things that are shared, are about abundance. I think it's because Leo walks alone, and Leo expects others to pay homage and do service to them. And then it suddenly thinks, oh dear, I can't afford this. But I'm too polite to tell the person or the people that I can't afford their services. So just have a think about that, because I think this full moon is giving you the opportunity to take back your power and make some of those decisions, Leo. So let's move on to Virgo, because Virgo, of course, this is in your first house. This is about who you are, Virgo, your identity. And, you know, Virgo, I know you worry about things. I know there are a lot of anxieties. You like to balance the books. You get fretful if all the columns don't match. You get anxious if your, I don't know, spreadsheets aren't in order. And it really worries you. And it's like it's like someone's wound you up as a little clockwork person, and you go, you know, cannot compute, they don't match up, I can't manage this. And so there's something here, Virgo, about saying, let it go. Whatever it is that is causing anxiety, let it go. Because remember, you've got Pisces, the sign of Pisces, where the Sun, Saturn, and Mercury, your ruler, Mercury, the planet of communication, in your 7th house of significant relationships. You don't have to worry, because you have the support of whoever is represented by the Sun. Their softness, their gentleness, their listening. Mercury, their listening skills. Their Saturn part that is saying, take it easy, slow down. Don't rush. Don't worry. Things take time. It takes time to build our empires. And sometimes we have to recognize when it's time to step back and just take a breather. Just take a step outside. And actually, Virgo, maybe it's time you gave some attention to you. Have you been spending too much time caring and looking after others rather than serving you? So I think there is something, Virgo, in this full moon about service to the self. So that's what I'd do. Okay, let's move on to Libra. Libra, it's in your 12th house. So, of course, the 12th house is the inner you. It's also where you can feel confined, trapped. But Libra, you're too kind and too nice to say anything about it. unless you get to the point where you are going to blow your top. But you do it so nicely, in such a balanced and kind way. The problem is what it does is it sends your blood pressure soaring. You know, Libra, sometimes it's not so bad to let it out, to have that kind of rage come out about whatever it is that is holding you back. What is it that is going on for you to do with health matters, with your physicality, with your body, with your mind, with your psyche? Because you know that Pisces energy in your 6th house, where you've got Mercury and Saturn and the sun shedding light on your routine. What is it about your routine that is not serving you well? Where, Libra, do you need to take time out and slow down? Are you trying to cram so much into your life? Sometimes it feels, Libra, that there is this last dash for the last bus. And this Virgo full moon is saying, enough. Let go, let God. Let the divine step in and guide you and give you the guidance that you need, that will make sense of everything for you. So I think it's about a behavior, a way of being, a way of acting that you need to look very long and hard at and let go of. Otherwise, this kind of Mars-Venus energy in Aquarius, right? And Jupiter squaring that is going to get you stressed out. And you're going to overextend yourself. And then what happens is fate or the cosmos steps in and gives us something to slow us down, so that we have no choice but to sit and think and reflect. So let's move on to Scorpio. Scorpio, it's in your 11th house. So the 11th house is a lovely part of the chart because, of course, by zodiac, it is actually the Aquarius house, which is where we have, metaphorically, the Pluto-Mars-Venus energy, although that's not where it is in your rising sign chart. So, Scorpio, we have Pisces in your fifth house. And this is Scorpio. Right, let's get down to basics. This is your 11th house of hopes and wishes. The 5th house is also about projects that you would like to launch. Are you trying to take on too much too quickly? It's not to say that the ideas you've got are not okay, not good, not great to rock and roll with. But as I've said before, Pisces is telling you in the 11th, the 5th house, Pisces is telling you to slow down and take your time because of Saturn in this part of your chart. Take your time because, you know, when the alchemist decides to turn base metal into gold, it's not a quick or easy process. You have something that you want to initiate, to launch, to get going. What I'm telling you, Scorpio, is if there are delays, which there may well be, trust them. Trust that the divine knows better. Now, what is it that you want to let go of? Because it's the 11th house. Which part of the projects that you want to launch is not appropriate to the way forward? Think about streamlining whatever it is you want to do. Are you taking on too much? Are you trying to provide too much? Are you trying to be everything to everyone? It's not possible, Scorpio, to keep up that pace, to keep up that kind of energy. You will exhaust yourself. So, and that's a little bit of what Saturn is trying to tell you in the 5th house. Slow down, take time. Because we have to remember where Taurus is, which is your 7th house. And Taurus is where Jupiter and Uranus are currently residing. So your relationships are going through profound and enormous change. You have to be patient with this because Jupiter, squaring Mars and Venus in Aquarius, Jupiter is enlarging the problems that can come from trying to go too high too quickly. Because then what you do is you become a shooting star, not a shooting sky, a shooting star. And you peak too soon. Remember the alchemist turning base metal into gold. Things of value take time. As my wonderful, wonderful friend, Jerry of Team Penny always says, slow and steady wins the race. Okay, Scorpio, sorry I was a bit not quite there at the beginning. I was just, what can I say? Maybe what I'm feeling, Scorpio, I do want to just carry on for a minute with you, is that I think there are going to be an enormous amount of changes. And I think there's going to be an awful lot of letting go of subjects, situations, people, institutions that you thought would be with you all your life. And there is something about this Virgo full moon that is illustrating that for you. There we go. I finally got there with what I needed to say. So let's move on to Sagittarius and the 10th house. So Sagittarius, this is in the part of your chart that is to do with your career. What are you worrying about? What are you making difficult for yourself? Because there's something about this full moon, when it falls in this part of your chart, there's something you're finding it difficult to let go of. You're trying to keep up a pace, an energy that Saturn in Pisces is going to go, I'm going to do something to slow you down. You need to sit and think. That's something that this full moon is trying to teach you, Sagittarius. It's trying to connect you with you and what really is important to you in terms of your career, your hobby, your passion. Remember, this is soul direction, soul path. What is it, Sagittarius, that you really want to do? Maybe you've been playing around with lots of things, because Virgo can hop from one thing to another? Are you actually not focusing on what really you're passionate about? Isn't it time, Sagittarius, for you to give to you and not keep giving to others and using your talents for others to make money out of you if you're still working? Just a thought, Sagittarius. What needs to go? Sometimes we find it very hard to let go. And because Jupiter is your ruling planet and you want to reach for the stars all the time, you can find it immensely hard to know when it's time to let go and stop. This Virgo full moon is saying, here you go. Here's an opportunity. Do you want to take it or not? Let's move on to Capricorn. Capricorn, so this is in your 9th house. Now we know this is the house of higher education. It's also about long distance travel. And have you got itchy feet, Capricorn? Are you perusing on the internet all those far off places that you would like to escape to? Has everything at home got a little bit kind of dull and boring? Because there is a sort of an essence of that in this energy. And I think the Pisces energy is kind of pulling in a need for some mental stimulation. And maybe you're not getting it enough from your locality, from where you are at the moment. Maybe you need to study something. Maybe you need to study something that you've always been totally passionate about, but never really looked into. You know, Capricorn, you're good at looking at things that have structure and design. And it's making me think of the subject. And it's not a subject that I know at all well. I just know that it's a fascinating topic. And it's called human design. And I think Capricorn people would make very good practitioners of human design. If you're listening to this, or any of the other signs are listening to this, and you haven't heard of human design, Google it. It is fascinating. It's kind of almost like an offshoot of astrology. It combines astrological techniques and ideas, but it's a much more structured and kind of very diverse and interesting way of looking at the personality, at the soul, the psyche, the personality, the soul, the being, who you are. And Capricorn, I think you need something to stimulate you. And I think something like human design and its structure would really fire you up. Because it feels as if you keep hopping from one thing to another. And what I'm saying, Capricorn, is I think enough is enough. Settle on one thing. You know, it's not like you, Capricorn. It's a little bit like you're being a bit of a butterfly. And you're trying this out and you're trying this out. And now you're going to land on this flower and see what the pollen tastes like or smells like. What is the space within you are not filling? What is the empty part of you that is yearning, longing, grieving even for something or someone to fill that space? There's some part of you, Capricorn, that is not being fulfilled. And I think until you face that really important part of your inner self, you'll keep flitting from flower to flower and actually end up not being very satisfied. So settle on the thing that is going to fill your soul. Remember, the sun in Pisces is your soul. Saturn in Pisces is telling you it's about timing. It's about slowing down. Because often, Capricorn, when we are flitting from flower to flower, we're running. And what we're running from often is us. So I think this full moon is saying stop that, slow down, and look at you. All right, let's move on to Aquarius. Well, Aquarius, this, of course, is in your 8th house. This is the part of the chart that, of course, is connected with your 2nd house of finance. And the 8th house is about joint finance, can be other people's money, investments, pensions, anything of that kind of ilk. And, you know, I wonder whether, Aquarius, you're looking seriously at getting your budgeting in order with this full moon. Maybe it's the time of year when you have to balance the books and do the tax. And maybe that's actually a good thing because it's giving you that opportunity to take some of the anxieties away from, you know, I don't know whether I want to look at all of this. This is all too difficult, and I'll put it on the too hard pile because I don't want to look at it. But this full moon is saying it's perfect energy to do it. It's perfect energy to balance the books. It's Virgo. It's about attention to detail. And through doing it and putting it to bed, you get the transformation and personal empowerment that comes through knowing you've got a job well done in this part of the chart, the 8th house. So if there is something you need to be getting out of the way to do with paperwork that may, as I say, be tax, bookkeeping, anything of that nature, this Virgo full moon is a perfect time to get it addressed and sorted. Okay, and now finally we move on to Pisces, my oceans of emotions. I don't do this so often, do I? Because, you know, now I've dropped doing the individual signs every month, which I have to say has freed up a lot of time for me. And I know a lot of you miss it, and my apologies for that. But I have to take care of myself, and I want to produce quality and not quantity. And, you know, if I produce quality, I would rather have a smaller channel and quality than a massive, massive following and quantity, because that's actually not what any of this is about. And maybe that's what the message is for you, Pisces, with this energy of Virgo being in your 7th house, because this is the house of your significant relationships. Are there relationships in your life that need some change, a breath of fresh air, a change of pace? You know, you've got a lot going on in your sign. It's your birthday time of year, and I know you're coming up to a birthday or you've already had it. And, you know, you've got Saturn. If it's your birthday today or in the next few days, Saturn conjunct your sun. That's heavy energy. And that's opposite this full moon. This is indicating significant, immense change. If you can hear some crackling in the background, and this is aside from the video, the cats have just woken up because it's treat time and they want some of their dreamies. And so they're doing their scratching and they're prowling around like the lions that they are, saying, come along, what about us? So it's lucky really that I've reached the Pisces part of the proceedings. But Pisces, think about your significant relationships. This can be one-to-one love relationships. This can be very close personal relationships. This can also be business relationships or partnerships. What has to change? What are you concerned about? And what are you worried about? Because Saturn is asking you to take your time, to not rush or be rushed into making a big decision, a big sweeping change. Take your time, Pisces. Don't allow your Pisces energy to get taken over by the emotion so that you get lost in the yearning and the longing and the, oh my God, what's happening? This is all so awful. Everything's going wrong, or I'm losing everything and everything's ending. No, it's not, Pisces. It's just changing. And you know what, Pisces? Change is always good. Remember to allow these changes to be organic, not forced, not imposed, not... I know you've got Saturn in your sign. And the problem is, Pisces, you may be being too rigid, too boundaried, not allowing enough flexibility to come in for people to connect with you, because you're so encased in your private little world that nobody can have access to you. So think about that, Pisces, and think about how you are setting your boundaries. And remember, you are a mutable sign. So Saturn, yes, is in your sign teaching you boundaries, but you also have to be flexible. Remember, we cannot rule with an iron rod or an iron fist. We have to have reason and thought and higher thought and intuition and care and be able to tune into the higher frequencies of Aquarius, where that Mars and Venus energy are squaring Jupiter. It will exacerbate and exaggerate this clash of the titans that can come if you don't slow down and listen. Remember, you've got Mercury in your sign, conjunct your Sun. This is not so much about you speaking, but also listening. How much have you been listening to the other in a relationship currently? Or are you just on a kind of a mission to get through your tasks, get them done, and put them to bed and tick them off the tick list? Stop it, Pisces. It's becoming robotic. That's not who Pisces are. They're my oceans of emotions. Look, I even got caught up in trying to do my oceans of emotions. You cannot stop the flow of the water. The water will always flow. The sea will always move in the direction and the tides and the way the wind blows it. Don't be rigid in that water, because you will drown, you will break. Allow yourself to swim and flow and move with the energy. And that way, the Virgo full moon can bring to you gifts of the most wonderful creative changes in your personal and professional relationships. So there we go. All 12 zodiac signs. I hope I didn't miss any out. You'll be quick to tell me if I did, won't you? Listen, as always, thank you so much. I know everybody switches off now, but for those of you that might still be listening, you never know, I might be saying something incredibly important, and I am. Remember, if you want to book a session with me, book from June. I know that sounds like a long way off, but you know, that there aren't that many slots. They will fill up quickly. So pennydix.com. I know I have a lot of returning clients that love to have top-ups for their astrology sessions. So please make sure you book your time with me. And also remember, I've got my Outer Planet series live coming monthly onto the channel. And they are accompanied by blogs on the website. So do check those out too. Pluto went up in January. Check it out if you haven't already, because it applies for the whole year. It's like a special gift of everything you need to know for the whole year about how Pluto affects you. And so on for each planet as I go through each month launching the outer planets. This month, February, I'm launching Uranus. Uranus in Taurus. And that will be up and running the weekend of the 18th, 17th, 18th, probably around the same time that this full moon goes live. So check that out. And remember, I go through each individual sign so you know where Uranus is affecting you in your particular life this year. So remember to like, comment, subscribe. Thank you, all of you who support me. And please support the lives. I love doing the lives. I have a wonderful community that is growing and growing and growing with the weekly live week aheads I do. And they're such fun. They're at 6 o'clock Central European time every Sunday night. And that's goodness knows what time, midday in the East Coast of America, breakfast time on the West Coast, etc., etc. And in the meantime, have a wonderful full moon in Virgo. All these full moons are so positive and interesting if we work with them in the right way. And remember, this is just the best thing that I can be doing. I love doing what I do. I'm just so passionate about it, and I'm wittering again. And I'm going to stop and say thank you for joining me. Bye for now.